Hello and welcome to Lesson 3 of Year 8 Maths, Fractions, Percentages and Decimals. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at converting fractions but in a different way. We are going to be converting fractions to decimals as well as fractions to percentages. So first of all, we are looking at converting fractions to decimals, and here are a few steps to follow to get to the answer. Step 1 is to ensure the fraction is a proper fraction or an improper fraction. So if you are given a mixed fraction for your question, then you must convert this mixed fraction to an improper fraction. Step 2 is optional, but it will further demonstrate your understanding, which is to simplify the fraction. And then step 3, divide the numerator by the denominator. And then step 4, which is to ensure you get the correct number of decimal places. So for our first example, we are going to be looking at 24 over 57. 24 over 57 is a proper fraction, therefore we do not need to convert to another type of fraction. We can proceed with the conversion to decimals. Step 2 is optional, but we will be looking at this step in these examples, which is to simplify the fraction. 24 over 57 has a common denominator each of 3. Both the numerator and the denominator must have the same common factor in order to be simplified. Its simplest form will be 8 over 19. Step 3, dividing the numerator by the denominator. 24 divided by 57 or 8 divided by 19 gives us 0.42105262. This is the number likely given to you by your calculator, and it looks overcomplicated, so we are going to round this to 2 decimal places. Rounding to 2 decimal places, we must look at the third number after the decimal place, which is a 1. And therefore we will round down to 0.42. So our proper fraction of 24 over 57 has been rounded to a decimal of 0.42. We are now going to look at a second example, which is a mixed fraction, 3 2/10. As this is a mixed fraction, we must convert this to an improper fraction. We are quickly going to run through the conversion, but if you want a more detailed explanation, then go back to lesson 2. But here we multiply the whole number by the small denominator. So 3 times 10 is 30. And then we add our small numerator on top. So 30 plus 2 is 32. 32 will be the numerator for our improper fraction. And then remembering that the denominators must be the same, the improper fraction is 32 over 10. We will now simplify the improper fraction. 32 and 10 both have a common factor of 2, so the simplified fraction is 16 over 5. There are no more common factors, so therefore this fraction is in its simplest form. Step 3, which is to divide the numerator by the denominator. 32 divided by 10 or 16 divided by 5 gives us 3.2, or specifying in 2 decimal places, 3.20. There is no need for rounding as the number is not overly complex, it is 2 decimal places already. So this is your answer to 2 decimal places. Now we look at fractions to percentages. We are going to look at the same fractions as we did in converting decimals, but this time we are going to convert the fractions directly to percentages. This fraction, 24 over 57, is a proper fraction, so there is no conversion needed to another fraction. For percentages, we must multiply by the following fraction. The numerator must always be multiplied by 100 and the denominator must always be multiplied by 1. So even if you had 3 over 4, 20 over 60, 24 over 57, it must always be multiplied by 100 over 1. So 24 times 100 is 2,400 and 57 times 1 is 57. This becomes our new fraction and we divide this numerator by this denominator to get our percentage. Dividing 2,400 by 57 gives us the answer of 42.10526,316. But this looks like an overly complex number, so we are going to round to 2 decimal places. The number in the third position is 5, therefore we will round up. This gives us 42.11%. We must include the percent sign at the end of our answer, or this could be confused as a decimal. So our answer is the proper fraction of 24 over 57, which has been converted to 42.11%. In example 2, we have our mixed fraction of 3 2/10. We must convert the mixed fraction to an improper fraction. Our improper fraction is 32 over 10. Remember to look back at lesson 2 if you want a more detailed explanation of this type of conversion. And then we will times our numerator by 100 and our denominator by 1. So 32 times 100 is 3,200 and 10 times 1 is 10. We divide our numerator by our denominator. 3,200 divided by 10 gives us 320%. And now that we have our answer, all these fractions, decimals, and percentages represent the same quantity. Thank you for watching the video of converting fractions to decimals and fractions to percentages. In the next lesson, we are going to cover percentages, converting percentages to fractions and percentages to decimals.